What was the cringiest thing you did in your first relationship? We planned to the minute when our first kiss would be. Not too bad, right? We were both nervous and it was both of our first relationships. I made a website with a countdown clock. My first girlfriend told me that she would break up with me if I didn't tell her that I would break up with her if she didn't kiss me. So she wanted me to blackmail her into kissing me by having me threaten to break up. I wasn't going to break up with her if she didn't kiss me. So I refused to say that I would. So she broke up with me. Was walking her home anticipating kissing her for the first time at her doorstep and kept licking my lips because I didn't want to kiss her with a dry mouth. Halfway to her house she looks at me and says stop doing that. I realized I probably looked really creepy. We were in 7th grade and had been dating for maybe 2 weeks. I printed a marriage certificate and showed it to her the first time she came over to my house. She called her mom and asked to go home immediately. This reminds me of when my first girlfriend gave me divorce papers when we broke up. Never talked when we actually saw each other but texted constantly when we weren't in the same room. Oh duck. Are you me? We took a break and I posted a video to Creep by Radiohead with a caption for that special someone. Ugh. I almost cringed off my chair writing this. How are you still alive? First real girlfriend in high school. We used to talk over the voice calls on MSN Messenger late at night. She wanted to just hear my voice. And I very quickly ran out of things to say. So she said I should just read whatever book I had around. She spent the next 30 minutes listening to my all new Gateway computer and how to use it booklet. I was 17. We had just had a fight. I drove to his house and blasted Scars by Papa Roach from my car and just stood awkwardly at the end of the driveway waiting for him to come out. I really wish this weren't true. Edit, added context. But did he ever come out? He did. But only to tell me I'm overreacting and he'll see me at school on Monday. BRB gonna go curl under the blankets to hide from the memories. Told her I loved her within the first 24 hours at the school parking lot. Let my mom purchase custom matching airbrushed shirts of 2 people kissing. With my girlfriend and my name on them. I'd report my mom for child abuse if she suggested that. She wanted to give me my first blowjob which I was all for. I was unsure of etiquette so I didn't give any warning for the finale. It caught her by surprise. She choked. Had an asthma attack from it. All I could do was pat the top of her head a couple times and say thanks. Champ. He French kissed me after eating a bacon double cheeseburger with onions and all sorts of other stinky stuff. I told him I had a bad experience with French kissing with a guy before him. Lies. He was my first kiss at V, and I would appreciate if he never did it again. Bonus cringe. I rubbed vapor rub near my eyes to make myself cry when I broke up with him and told him I was overwhelmed and needed to focus on school. I was in 8th grade. Had my first relationship at age 17. We were each other's first for everything. Basically only ever gave him hand jobs cause he wasn't very hygienic. He insisted on keeping his underwear on so I'd have to rub him over his boxers. He'd come inside his boxers and then leave them on for the rest of the day. The odd time he didn't have boxers on, he'd grab a sock and come inside of it and throw it in the laundry pile. His mom did all the laundry. So disgusting every time I think about it. She started to ignore me at school. This was like maybe 1 or 2 weeks after we started dating. I called her house like 6 or 7 times one afternoon after school until her mom picked up. Who was basically furious because I had been calling. I explained to her that Alexa was ignoring my calls. I hear in the background, "Alexa, why aren't you answering the phone?" To which she responds, "Because he's weird and he just keeps calling." I hung up the phone and went to my room. I carved her name in my wall with a pen. I still cringe about it to this day. She showed me a topless pic and I was too embarrassed to look at it. Edit. I hit my girlfriend with my car. It was a complete accident. We are still friends and it is a story that still comes up in conversation every now and then. Please start using the line "yeah, I hit that." I was too immature to talk about us one day having sex. So I'd giggle and say, "Do you know the Muffin Man?" I was super shy back in the day and I really liked this guy who had weirdly flirted with me in one of our classes. He told me I looked like some random celebrity when I wore my hair down and how hot she was, so I never wore my hair up again for the entirety of school. I replied later by slipping a note in his locker but didn't sign it. A few days after that, I threw in a t-shirt I thought he would like. He didn't know who it was from until weeks later when he finally wore it to school to see if anyone said something. My BFF at the time didn't. He realized it was me. Super creepy on my end. We ended up dating for a day before we broke up because we were stupid kids. Now, 15 years later, we reconnected and are now married. So, totally worked as planned. I licked her face to be random. God, that hurt to reimagine. Please don't mention hybridized eating utensils. Broke it off because I thought I was a stud. I was single about 3 years after that. My first makeout session with someone was with my first girlfriend. We were in her bedroom. Turned out the lights and went at it on the floor of her room. After a while I feel something wet on my face. I didn't want to stop so I just ignored it and carried on. She notices it too and decides to turn on the light because something is really wet on our faces. Light comes on and turns out I'd had a massive nosebleed and there was blood everywhere. I was covered in it. She was covered in it and there were blood stains all over her room. If that wasn't embarrassing enough, when she went to the bathroom to clean up, her mum caught her in the hallway. She sees the blood and immediately screams. Her assumption was that I was beating her daughter up and I get chucked out the house. Took a long time and explaining for me to show my face there again. Also lost my virginity to the same girl to Cool and the Gang celebrate. That was cringy as hell too. Was giving him my first blowjob and at the same time trying to figure out what I was going to do when he finished. He, on the other hand, unexpectedly finished in my mouth. No warning or nothing. I didn't like it so I spit it out onto his chest. I let him finger me at school with no idea the people at the next table could see. Broke up with her because my best friend told me to. We were perfectly fine together but I guess I kinda worshipped the guy and his advice. He later tried asking her out when we split. We were all 14-15. My first girlfriend had really big tits and I remember sucking and lightly biting her nipples for a long time and she finally said, "You know, I'd rather kiss you." I overstayed my welcome at the memory party. Some women are really into it. Others not as much. It may be awkward but that kind of communications is really important. My roommate finally got her first boyfriend just before her 40th birthday. She sent him flowers at work on her birthday. He cancelled his date with her that night. And I had to stay up all night with her crying. I got us matching dog tags with our anniversary on it after dating for around 6 months and would secretly get very sad when he wouldn't wear his. Declined staying the night because I was, and I quote, wearing a skirt and didn't want it to ride up while I was sleeping. I used to take laps around the playground and slap stickers on her ass. I don't know what I was thinking. He took me to Olive Garden and bought me that meat lovers lasagna. I'm pretty damn sure that's what it was called, and when we got back to his place I wanted to show him how appreciative I was so I gave him my first blowjob. Turned out I was not ready for that job and threw up the entire lasagna on his penis. God help me, I can't believe I'm finally sharing this story. I remember the first time we held hands. She played football on her school team. So I made some comment about how even though I have bigger hands, I still find holding the ball kind of awkward and asked her to show me how she held it. It was an elaborate ruse to make her hold her hand up, so I could compare hand size and not so smoothly lace fingers as we put our hands back down. It was kind of cute. Minus the fact that I was sweating so much that she took her hand back 5 seconds later to wipe my sweat onto her pants. She was a good sport and held my hand again though. Tried to defend her honor. I got the id kicked out of me by 3 guys. I earned cred for taking a beating. But she thought we should just be friends after witnessing that. Tried to have sex. She ended up being a lesbian. Glad I could help her find her way. We met playing WoW. She was level 60 and volunteered to run my character through Scarlet Monastery while I was leveling. Her entire family referred to me as White Rabbit when I was not around. Because that was my WoW char name. We finally had sex when at a party at my friend's house whose parents were home. The mother knocked on the door and said, "What is going on?" We did not stop. A girl that I was about to start dating mentioned she really wanted to go to New Zealand at some point in her life, to a group of people. Not even just to me. So I immediately priced plane tickets and lodgings to New Zealand for a honeymoon. Then, unbelievably, before we had actually started dating, I told her I had priced our honeymoon. My defense was that if things did work out, New Zealand was so expensive I'd have to start saving then. We still dated. But only for about 2 months and neither of us have been to New Zealand.